Hiya and welcome back to the Spirit of Creating. And in this week's episode, I was thinking about this term called cognitive dissonance, where what we imagine in our minds doesn't always reflect what's happening in our realities, and there's a dissonance, there's a distance between the two. And it got me thinking about art and how there can be a creative dissonance when we're creating art. And I think it can lead to people not making art because the two don't match up. And what I mean by this is, let's say we decide to create a piece of art and we have something in our imaginations of the color palettes, the layout, what we think we're going to use as materials. And we also have, because our imaginations are amazingly fertile and inventive, and we also have a finished product in our mind of what we think this art piece is going to look like and how incredible it's going to be. And we then get to work. And then as we're working and we're creating the piece of art, if on each section and each level of creating it, it's not matching up with our imaginations, it can be really off-putting. You kind of think, oh, I'm going wrong here. This doesn't, it's like you're following a sat nav, but you're just not ending up where you needed to end up. And so you kind of can feel completely disheartened and stop making the art. You can stop midway. I've stopped midway before. I've been like, well, this looks nothing like it's meant to look. But really, it wasn't meant to look like what I imagined. It was meant to look like however it looks. But I've decided that my imagination is the place to be, and that's exactly how it has to look. And so now I'm disheartened halfway through a piece of work and I just let it go and I just think, well, that one's a write-off, so let's go again. And this kind of feeds into the idea of perfectionism. And I do think perfectionism can just be another word for procrastination. It's just a way to put off creating something because you just don't think it's good enough or it's not perfect enough. And this whole idea of matching what's in our imaginations to what's on the paper in front of us can be a bit of a fruitless venture, because as much as we like the idea of it matching our imaginations, I think for me, I've been painting for years and I don't think I can even remember a time, if ever, that what I imagined was exactly what I created. Sometimes it's been worse than what I imagined and sometimes it's been better than what I imagined. But I can't actually pinpoint a piece of artwork that I could say honestly, that's exactly how I imagined it to be, and that's exactly how it came out. It hasn't happened for me yet, so I don't know if it ever will. I'm not really interested in that whole concept. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think we can all be a bit waylaid by this idea. And I think this is kind of like this innate notion that what we imagine is how it should be, as if that's the right outcome. And it's the same with life. We can imagine our lives should look a certain way. And if they don't, we feel like we're getting it wrong. But our imagination just came up with an option. It just came up with an idea. It didn't mean it was the right idea. And it didn't mean it was the wrong idea. But it was just an idea. And if it was just an idea enough for us to pick up the brush and start painting, then its job is done. It's great. We've started creating. But when we rely on the outcome to look like what we imagined it to look like, then we're on a bit of a losing path, because chances are we can then get disappointed in the outcome. And either we stop painting altogether, we scrap works before they're finished and completed, or we never get started because we just feel like we haven't got the skill set to match our imaginations. So then we just don't even go and have a try. So I kind of wanted to just pop in to say, if what you imagine is amazing and then what you create isn't quite matching up to it, there is no sign in that what you're doing is wrong at all. You just keep creating, and you keep creating and seeing what the outcomes are. And it's great that your imagination wants to help you and play along with you, but it's just that. It's just like a playmate. It's not dictatorial. It's not telling you this is exactly how it has to look. And if it doesn't look like this, then it just doesn't work. Because all of my art has been created in some form of creative dissonance with my imagination. Even if I'm not aware of it, it's never matched fully, and that's never really been a problem. So I think if there is any creative dissonance going on within you when you're creating, or if everything you're making doesn't look like what you imagined it would look like, then I don't want you to be put off by that at all. That's not a sign of anything. Don't go for the perfectionist path of just making it your mission in life to create what you imagine fully. Just see your imagination as like a starting point. It's just the sat nav telling you to first head left, and that's it. And then after that, don't pay too much attention to it. You will just explore as you go and create, and it will turn out how it turns out. And in that exploring, your skills get developed and your art gets developed. And I think sometimes maybe our imaginations create these beautiful images for us to then kind of try to meet them, and in trying to meet them, we develop along the way, and our art develops along the way. And in a way, I don't think I ever even want to meet that image in my imagination to what I create, because as long as I don't meet it, I've got something to work towards, and it's just a bit more fun. And it's like, wow, what can I develop in time? And if I kind of hit that pinnacle of meeting my imagination, then what will be the next thing I want to be doing? Whereas I'd rather just play with my imagination and not let it dictate to me whether what I'm creating is the best or the worst. I can decide that as I go along, but the imagination can just be like a starting point and a help towards creating some art, but not be the reason why you don't create it in the first place. So if you have any questions about today's episode or any creative dissonance you're having, you can contact me on illustratingrain@gmail.com. My course will be launching called Showing Up for Your Art in February, and I will set a date for that soon, and you can find out about that at illustratingrain.com/showing up for your art. And if you have any issues you'd like me to address in any of these episodes, then let me know, and I shall see you next week. Bye.